We're joined by Sara Araghi, Senior Vice President, Portfolio Manager for Franklin Equity, and a partner with Franklin Venture, and an investor along the way with Anthropic. Yeah. What does that story signal to you?
So first of all, thank you again for having me here today. And so, look, it's a little bit more of the same here. We've seen Anthropic do deals with Broadcom, Google, all the players. They need more compute. And so this is just more of the same here. It shows that AMD is also a key player in this ecosystem. And I think, part of this announcement is ahead of their Advancing AI event tomorrow. They wanted to drum up some excitement about that. And so I think it's a big deal for them.
I appreciate the timing of it. I mean, I remember when Lisa Su was sat where you're sitting now, along with Greg Brockman, and they did a similar compute deal with OpenAI. Right. And the quite reasonable question at the time is, why do you need to make equity investments for this to happen, right? Yeah. If your compute is competitive, Anthropic will just acquire it from you.
Yeah, no, I know. And it, of course, we'll drum up the circular financing topic here. Right. And look, that's a part of the ecosystem here now. And there's a need for these investments. And so having a stake in this, I think, makes a lot of sense for these companies. And you're seeing every single player do that. And so AMD wanted to be a part of this. I think this ecosystem is thriving. We're seeing all the success here, and we're still in the early innings. So it makes a lot of sense here.
Sara, can I ask you a little bit about the broader ecosystem for you? So, of course, Anthropic and OpenAI are important. But when you look at the rest of the Franklin Ventures portfolio, what about the rest of the companies that you're supporting in private markets access to compute?
Yeah.
Is that a worry right now? Is that something you're feeling confident about?
Look, I think there's Anthropic and OpenAI have all this access to compute. They're getting this, and there's still a need for so much more of it, right? There's so much demand. We're just scratching the surface here on the demand for AI. And so I think they're getting that access. You're seeing the variety of Mag 7 companies needing that access and getting that access to compute, but you're also seeing providers of that now monetizing. You saw announcements from Meta, SpaceX providing some of that compute. So we're not that concerned in terms of, one, the demand on that side, and supply continues to come. Of course, there's a lot of supply chain bottlenecks here, and costs are going up, but over time, that should also correct itself.
We covered in detail an event overnight of the OpenAI mistaken vulnerability.
Yeah,
it's hard to put it into...
You didn't sleep last night.
Right, it's hard to put it into one sentence, but you're aware of the reporting and the details of it. What do you think about that?
Look, we get this news, we wake up and there's this news, and it's a little bit more of in my opinion, it's a little bit more of just the fears that we're drumming up around AI. We actually had Jensen Huang in our office a couple of weeks ago, right, and he talked about how we're doing a bad job of some of this fear-mongering around, AI is scary.
It's overstated?
It's becoming a little bit overstated. One, just job losses related to AI and what kind of impact that could have. And then just maybe some of the impact around how AI is scary. I think ultimately we know that we're going to get productivity gains around this. And as long as we create some of the guardrails around this, I think we should be using AI. We shouldn't be creating an environment where people are scared about AI. That's creating some of the issues around people not wanting data centers in their neighborhoods. It's making this more of a scary narrative around AI, and I think we need to start staying away from that somewhat.
Okay, I'm going to set the Bloomberg Tech audience up for what is a big Wednesday evening. After the market close, Alphabet, the parent of Google, reports earnings. Tesla reports earnings, and IBM technically reports earnings but has pre-released. And I'm trying to think, what do all three of those companies have in common? Spending, yeah. AI spending. But the relationship with spending is different in each case. Maybe investors are like, okay, Alphabet's going to spend a lot of money. What's the return here? In Tesla's case, everything I read is they want to see Elon Musk spend even more money. Get going, Elon Musk, on your AI ambitions of that company. And then IBM, maybe, without telling the whole story myself, but IBM is what if you're spending on AI, what are you not spending on in its IBM mainframes?
Right.
Earnings are important. Are they important? How are you going to go into this evening?
Yeah, look, it's definitely important. Alphabet is going to set the tone on hyperscaler CapEx today. We've seen Anthropic accelerated earnings in Q1 and Q2. How is that going to result in potentially an acceleration in hyperscaler revenue, right? So we want to see some of that cloud revenue accelerate.
I think you and I have discussed, sorry to interrupt you, but before, there is a difference between the capital expenditure deployer and the capital expenditure recipient.
And the recipient is seeing the returns right away, right? That recipient is seeing it in their cloud revenues. We talk about the ROI of AI. The hyperscaler, the cloud companies are already seeing that right away. And so you talked about it this morning, over 60% cloud revenue growth last quarter for Alphabet. So we're going to want to look for some of that. You point out, and of course it's going to be important to see some of the ROI related to AI and some of their core businesses, right? How is it impacting advertising? Of course, it's hard to dissipate whether that it's coming from the AI piece or it's just their regular search business. But of course, that's going to be something we're watching for. And your question on Tesla, look, Tesla is very much muddied with SpaceX right now, right? So where is the CapEx being spent for Tesla? Where is it? We just saw the Cybercab announcement last week with Starlink in the Cybercab, right? For SpaceX. So I'm not sure we're really getting the full picture. I think you pointed out this morning, CEO of two companies is going to be on and talking about these companies. I think
not unprecedented. I think like Jack Dorsey's a kind of similar example.
A little bit of that.
But you've talked to me really quickly about SpaceX in the past. Your current thesis on the SpaceX Tesla link up?
I mean, look, I think it's going to take some time, right? We're working through the cap table right now, right? The SpaceX cap table is we still need liquidity events here. So I think that's going to take some time. Of course, the regulatory environment is more favorable to something like that, but I think that's going to take time. Regarding Tesla spending on CapEx, I think we're just going to need some proof points on robotics today. We're going to have to hear some on AVs, and then over time, we'll hear more about that link up.